The PowerStop Z23 pad and rotor kit that we have here today will be a solid upgrade for all 99 to 04 GT or V6 owners looking to replace those worn out factory components, increase your stopping power, and improve the look behind your favorite set of wheels at the same time. Now, this very popular kit will include a brand new set of slotted and drilled rotors, along with a new set of Z23 carbon ceramic pads for both front and rear, all for right around that $400 price point. Install, at least according to the site, guys, is good enough to achieve a middle of the road 2 out of 3 wrenches and about 2 hours to knock out from start to finish. But hang with me for a bit and we'll show you how it's done later in the video. Now, the Z23 kit that we have here today is not to be confused with the Z26 kit, which you can also find here on the site for roughly the same price point. Now, what's the big difference between the two? Well, I do want to point out that your only difference really between those two kits lies with the pad itself. Now, the Z23 kit that we have here is going to utilize a slightly less aggressive carbon ceramic material along with a rubberized shim on the back of that pad, which will combine for a relatively noiseless and relatively dustless operation. Now, that Z26 pad, on the other hand, will utilize a more aggressive compound along with a stainless steel shim that might produce just a little bit more noise and maybe a little bit more dust compared to the Z23 that we have here. So now that you know the difference between PowerStop's two most popular kits for the new Edge Mustang, let's talk about the rest of the kit. And your foundation here, guys, will be the cross-drilled and slotted G3000 iron rotors, which have been finished off in a silver zinc coating to help resist any rust on your non-friction surfaces. Now, that slotted and drilled design is designed to help with cooling, and PowerStop claims that surface temps are dropped nearly 180 degrees compared to a solid blank rotor, which in turn will greatly reduce fade, especially when we're talking about working your brakes hard in your GT. Now, the second part of the equation, again, will be that Z23 pad, which we've kind of already covered a little bit. But again, what you can expect here, guys, is that low dust carbon ceramic compound, which will offer about 20% more stopping power compared to your stock pad, along with that rubberized shim on the back, which will help keep noise to an absolute minimum. Now, this kit does also include all of your hardware and lubricant needed to get everything installed. And by the way, is backed by a 3-year, 36,000 mile warranty, which is pretty solid in the land of a budget brake kit. Now, as far as your install is concerned, well, I'd say pads and rotors are one of the basics of automotive wrenching, but since there is a little elbow grease involved here, site did kick things up to pretty soft 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and maybe a couple of hours of your time from start to finish. But now, to give you a better idea of just how this job will go down at home, here's a detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown now.
Tools used for this install: 1/2-inch drive ratchet, a 15mm socket, flat blade screwdriver, a 13mm ratcheting wrench, and a 12mm ratcheting wrench. Hey guys, I'm going to show you how to install our front and rear pad and rotor kit here on our 99 Mustang, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is uninstall our front caliper here and remove our caliper bracket that holds it in place. That way we'll get these out of the way, give us access to removing our rotor, and we'll pull our rotor off. So now we're going to take our caliper off. By doing that, we're going to have to remove this 12mm bolt and this one up here. I'm going to take my 12mm ratcheting wrench, get it on there, and break it loose and remove it. That's that one. Now we have one up top here. I'm going to do the same with this one. And now I have those two out of the way. Just going to be able to take your caliper and slide it out of the way like that. So next we're going to remove our 2 pads here. I'm going to take a flat blade screwdriver and just pop them out. Get this one out of the way. Same with this one. Pop the pad out of the pocket it's in. Set this one over there. Next, we're going to take this bolt here and this bolt here out. That'll remove our caliper bracket, which will give us access to remove our rotor. So now we're going to remove these 2 bolts right here. They're 15mm. I'll take my 15 millimeter socket with my 1/2-inch drive ratchet. And I'm gonna break these loose. And these are pretty tight, so you could use a breaker bar. I think ours have been off already, so I think I can break it with just this. That's one. Same on the top one. There's two. So now I'll remove these and get these out of our way. Just gonna set them up out of the way up there. Same with this one. And now I'll remove our caliper bracket. So now we have our bracket off and our caliper. Sometimes you have to smack the rotor with a hammer. Ours have been off a couple times. I'm just gonna have to just wiggle it and pull it right off like that. And then you're gonna wanna repeat this whole uninstall procedure on the opposite side. So now we have our old rotor off. We're going to install our new rotor. Just gonna take it like this, slide it on. So now we're gonna install our caliper bracket. I'm gonna push in on our rotor here, get our bracket in place, take our 15 millimeter here, and get this through, line up with the hole. And we got that one started. Do the same on the bottom here, and get this one started. I'm gonna run them in by hand as much as I can. I'm gonna take my 15 millimeter on my 1/2-inch ratchet here, tighten these up. Now you're gonna wanna make them pretty tight. Matter of fact, you're gonna wanna look and torque them to manufacturer spec. They gotta be very tight when you put these back on. So now what we're gonna do now, we got our caliper bracket in place. We're gonna remove the old metal clips that they give us, or that are on our caliper here, because in the kit they give us new ones here, like this one here. We're gonna put this on. I'm just gonna pop down into place like that. Same with the upper one. I'm gonna get this one in place. Sometimes you gotta just bend the tab a little bit, just like that. There it goes. And now that we have those two in place, what we're gonna do next is I'm gonna bring the caliper over here. And I'm gonna explain how to push the pistons back in the caliper. So what you're gonna do to push these pistons back is I usually take an old brake pad, stick it in place like this. Then you're gonna wanna grab a C-clamp or a large pair of channel locks and squeeze back each side till you get both pistons completely back. As you can see, ours are already back, but if you just use a C-clamp, put it in the center, get in the back of the caliper here, tighten it up, you'll be able to push them back. That'll allow you to get this onto our new brake pads when we go to install the caliper. So before we put our pads on, we're going to take some of the graphite they give us. I'm going to squeeze it out here and put it on our pad. There we go. And I'm just going to smear it around. Take some of it and put it over here. It's going to be right where the pistons ride or the back plate of the caliper rides. And then you're going to just want to repeat this same procedure on the other new brake pad. So now we'll install our brake pads. Just going to push it down into place here. Same up top here. Get it started. Push it up against the rotor like that. And we'll install our front one same way. Just like that. Now we'll install our caliper. So now we're just going to take our caliper and install this back into place. And I'm going to take my two 12 millimeter bolts, run these in. Same on the top one here. Get that started. I'm going to take my 12 millimeter ratcheting wrench, tighten these up. Now you're going to want to repeat this whole same install procedure on the opposite side. So now I'm going to show you how to remove our rotor here on the back and our caliper and caliper bracket. First thing we're going to do is get a 13 millimeter and remove our caliper, then we'll remove our bracket. So now we're going to remove our caliper. I'll take my 13 millimeter ratcheting wrench here, remove these two bolts right here. That's one. I'm going to get up here to the top one. That's two. I'm just going to wiggle the caliper a little bit. Pull it off and set it out of the way, like that. That'll give us access to our pads, which I'm just going to slide out. One like that. And push the second one out, just like that too. So now we're going to take off these two bolts here to hold our caliper bracket on. I got my 15 millimeter socket on my 1/2 inch drive ratchet. And I'm just going to break these loose. That's one. And same with the bottom one. I'm just going to pull these two bolts out. And we'll remove our caliper bracket. So now we got our caliper and caliper bracket off, we're going to be able to remove our rotor. Now sometimes you might have to smack your rotor with a hammer to get it off. This one's ready to come right off, just like that. Now you're going to want to repeat this whole same uninstall procedure on the opposite side. Now that we have everything removed, we're going to start by reinstalling our new rotor here. I'm going to just take it, slide it into place like that. Next we'll install our caliper bracket. So next we're going to install our caliper bracket. I'm just going to get it in place here. Start my two 15 millimeter bolts. And start the one on the bottom here. And get that in place. And then I'm going to take my 15 millimeter on my 1/2 inch ratchet. Tighten these up. And they're going to have to be pretty tight, so you're going to want to tighten those to, or torque these, I should say, to manufacturer spec. So now on our rear caliper, to get our piston to go back, there's two little nubs inside the piston here. And what you're going to want to do is go to your local auto parts store or your tool guy, whatever, and you'll be able to buy a caliper tool that will go into here and you'll be able to screw it back, and your piston actually screws back inside. Now as you can see, ours is already back, but you're going to want to put that tool, take it in, get your piston all the way back so you can put your new pads on, and that way your caliper will go on pretty easily and slide in and out. So next, before we put our pads on, we're going to put our new clips on that come in the kit. I don't know if you can see them, but they look like that right there. And they're just going to go on like that and press on the ends of the pads. So you're going to put two on this and then two on the other one. And then once we get those all installed, I'll put these on this one quick, pop them right on like that. And once we get those all installed, what we're going to do again, take our graphite that we have, I'm going to squeeze some out. And I'm going to smear some of this on the back of this pad. And then the same with this pad. That'll help it from squealing. So now that we have this all done, we're ready to install our pads. So now we're going to take our pads, slide them back in place here. Might have to push down on the tab to get it to slide like that. That's that one. Same with the front one. Try to put the bottom in and push down, and then push the little tab in up top here. Now that we have our pads in, we'll install our caliper. So now we're going to take our caliper, reinstall it onto our pads. you go. And if you notice, our pads have 2 little spring clips in the top. Just gonna wanna make sure you get those and push them down. Like that. And then start our bolts. Sometimes you gotta tap it. And now that I have them both started, I'll take my 13mm ratcheting wrench, tighten these up. Same with the top one. And now you're going to want to just repeat this whole install procedure on the opposite side. That wraps up this review and install of our PowerStop Z23 Evolution Sport Brake Rotor and Pad Kit, front and rear for 99 to 04 Mustang GTs and V6 models. Thanks for watching, and for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.